Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts. And so this is Unity software. And so for me, what I personally have done with Unity software, also with Wolf a little bit, but just on a much smaller position size scale. So with Unity, also with Wolf, I think that both of them are really in like deep value, like technical breakout potential levels. And yeah, I just feel like looking at the chart of Unity, I had a shaded channel going back some time, but really I just kind of adjusted that to be this downtrend. We're getting to potentially breaking out from that. So what I could see is this consolidation that I have doodled up here, but with the pullback that we have seen, it's a little bit more aggressive than what I have drawn up here. But I think that it's just a dip buying opportunity. And so for me personally, what I've done, I think I was at work when it happened. I had a bunch of calls on Unity. I took profits at 100%. I could have taken profits at 200% in the following day, but with options and stuff, they most likely will be going to zero. So I'm just trying to be conservative with taking profits with those. And so with Unity software, I think this is still going higher. And so I actually added to some of those call positions yesterday, just one contract each, so nothing too crazy. But looking at the data from Unusual Whales, I think that this pullback that we're seeing, is in line with this doodle that I have here, consolidating below these levels, below 2867, which was this prior high over here. But, I guess my doodle is above that level, so I shouldn't say that, consistent with what I have doodled. But below that downtrend, that longer term downtrend that has been resistance. And so I think that, it's totally normal for us to be pulling back below that. Surprised to see it pulling back so much, but I think that's just dip buying opportunities. And so I should say that Unity software, ticker symbol U, did close yesterday at a price of $26.51, being up 3.35%, being at a discount from the highs when we got rejected from that downtrend, being down 14% from those highs, but it is up about 1.66% in the pre-market, trading around $27 a share. If I do look over to the 10-minute time frame, we can see, this nice right up. I think this is a dip buying opportunity pretty much across the board, whether it's Bitcoin, S&P 500 stocks, other than Lucid. I think it's dip buying opportunities. So let's look over at the Unusual Whales options data. And so this is what I was going over with Lucid. I'm going to go back over to the contract lookup. And I don't have anything in my bookmarks, but I do have something in my options theses list here. Just going to sort that alphabetically so I don't get confused. And at the bottom of it, you can't see it. But some of the contracts that I personally am trading, one is the $42 call that expires in June. This is a little bit risky because looking at the chart, I don't necessarily think it's going to be up to around $42 by June, but it could be, the doodles that I have here, maybe suggest that. And then that would be forming the head of the inverse left shoulder, inverse head here, inverse head and shoulders pattern that would then suggest a following pullback, maybe like this that would be the second half of the year. And then we'd have a move potentially up to like $75. So I think that just looks really, really good. But thinking about this getting up to $42, $45 by June, I think that's a little bit risky. For me personally, the reason why I'm interested in this one is just because the premium's a little bit cheaper, right around $1. And personally, full disclosure, yesterday I did add to my position at the low from yesterday of $1. And then the other contract that I'm also in, it's a little bit more ambitious with a strike of $65, but it has an expiration in January of next year. The low yesterday was also $1. Spoiler alert, I also got a contract there for this one, which is bringing my average up, but I just plan to be more aggressive in trimming as Unity does go higher. And I should note too, I do have some shares, I believe just 7 at around $22 or $23. Actually, I do have one in my Robinhood account. So I have actually 8 shares. I don't really plan on selling those because I'm swinging the calls. But anyways, not to endorse these contracts, what I wanted to get into is the data over here, the net call premium and put premium. So I'm just going to expand that. And so looking at this, what we can see in the data, the bearish bullish slider, I'll just jump to that right away, 60% on the bullish side. So that is looking good. And then so just to break it down here, what we can see is the stock price in yellow went up, I should say, ran up and then floated across over here after going up, but then pulled back a little bit, cooled off a little bit. And I think a lot of stocks actually did that yesterday. And I think that is probably following the tariff news on, Europe. And so there's a little bit of an unease in the markets there. So that's why I think we saw a cool off. But I think overall, we're in dip buy mode across the board. What we see in the net put premium is that was more or less flat, or at least relative to the net call premium, which we saw go up considerably. And then we also saw the volume here. And I'm actually just going to do a little comparison with the stock chart. With the volume, we saw 13.46 thousand. And then so if I look at the chart over here, what was the volume for the day? That was 4.55 million. Okay, so this is something different. I'm still learning, how to read the volume here. I think that is for contracts, and this suggests more buying, but we actually want to look into the individual contracts to get a better idea of that. And what we can do, and this also comes back to, this video that I did on the multi-million-dollar SoundHound's Unusual Whale, and also the video I just put out on Lucid Motors. What we want to be doing is looking at individual contracts so we can track the big moves. And so I have to give a shout out. Actually, sorry, I'm going all over the place here, but I have to give a shout out to the Bronx Viking. He has been putting out a lot of posts on Unity software. And this is one that he was tracking a huge $1.1 million order for June's $27 call strike for Unity. And so that June OPEX keeps getting targeted for calls. Does that sound familiar? He's suggesting Roaring Kitty is in on this. So what I try to do, because of his tweet here, is I want to kind of identify contracts based on the data that I am seeing. And so looking at this, I want to see, what's this spike here in that net call premium. And so looking at, the premium at around 10:18 in the morning, we saw a net call premium of around $756,000. But then just a few minutes later, we saw that spike up about 5 minutes later from about $60,000 up to 1.8, almost $1.9 million. So that's a pretty big spike. And so we can look up that contract to see what that is. Is that opening a position, closing a position? Is that adding to a previous position? Is there a bull going long here? And so even though looking at the chart, we are up a lot from these trend lines, is this a dip buying opportunity or a panic sell opportunity as we get back to fill the gaps down here? And so let's look at the data from that. But I should first also take a step back, look at the 30 days here. And so we can see lots of calls going up here. And so maybe this is, not so unusual what we're seeing here with the 3 million spike in premium, nearly 3 million spike in premium from yesterday, because a few days ago, so on the 20th, we saw an increase in net call premium of over $10 million. So is this really that unusual from the one day, with the net call premium going up by $2.71 million versus net put premium going up by only $213,000. So the way we're going to do that is go over to the flow feed. So if I just go over to Unusual Whale's home screen, go to flow data here, and then go to flow feed, I'm actually going to clear the search here. So we're not looking at Lucid. And then I am going to look at the time range for yesterday. So all of the data from yesterday. And then I am going to type in Unity up here. So we see any data that we have, all of the data, but then I am going to, limit this going over to this. Oh, this is Lucid, so I don't want that. Unity software, sorry about that. So we get a spike. So this was from, let's hundreds of $1,000 spike there. So let's filter the premium right here, well above Ed's head, so he's not blocking it. So let's put that at 10, 100, 000, $100,000. And so what we can see here is, some calls that had premiums, wow, $1.14 million, and then these being in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so let's look at what Bronx was saying over here. So this is a June $27 call. Do I see that over here? I see, yeah, so this is the one that he was talking about. June $27 call, $1.14 million on that. So let's expand that contract to look at the data. And so what we can see, looking just from the 1 day yesterday at the time range from 1020 to 1025, we saw the candle premium of $1.1 million. And so from yesterday, we had a volume starting the day of 7.8 thousand contracts open. We saw a volume yesterday of 2.7 thousand, which led to an increase in open interest of 1.2 thousand, getting open interest to above 9,000. So looking really good there. If we look back over the past 90 days, this is the most volume that we've seen on it. This is the opening of contracts. But if we do scroll down here, I'm not going to get into it because I also want to get over to Wolf. But we can see here that there was previous positions that were open, and I can actually scroll back a little bit. It's been like 8,000 for some time. And so anyways, looking at this, I think this is just bullish. I think that this is suggesting stock prices going higher. And so then looking over here at the next contract, this is the $25 call, which expires in September. So that is September 19th of this year, over 200 days between now and expiration. And this was a premium of over $300,000. So let's click on that one. And so what we see here in the data down below, not as exciting. It's not $1 million like the other one. But yesterday we saw an open interest of 5.3 thousand contracts, saw a volume of 910, but that only led to an increase of 142 contracts, going from 5.3 thousand to about 5.4 thousand. So this contract not as sexy as the other one, but that's not really to be surprised because the first one that we were looking at was this spike over here where we saw the big move in that net call premium. And so this one that we're looking at is a little spike here. So not as impressive, doesn't have $1 million behind it, but either way, these are bullish. So I think that is good. And then let's see, this next one is the $32 call, which expires in May. So a little bit shorter dated, a little bit more risky. Let's click on that one and we can see the spikes in the buys and or sells of the contracts from yesterday. And so what we saw yesterday was an open interest of, 4.2, almost 4.3 thousand contracts open. We saw a volume traded yesterday of 1.8 thousand contracts, which led to an increase by about 130 contracts. So going from 4.2, almost 4.3 up to 4.4 thousand contracts open. And so, that's bullish, but it's not super bullish. There was just a lot of day trading with this contract yesterday is what it tells me. But it is still going along. The open interest is increasing. And then the other contract here, sorry about that little blip in my speech, but that is a $25 call again, same strike as down here. So, we've already looked at that, so don't need to spend any more time on it. But yeah, this is just saying that with Unity Software trading below $27 a share, this $27 call with the June expiration, that's coming up. But it's not terribly risky because it's just a bet basically that we're going to break out from this long-term downtrend and could be heading even higher. So it's super bullish. I really like it a lot. And so hopefully that's helpful for you guys. Yeah, I'm excited about Unity. But I should note too that the premium for these contracts, like for this one, the one that had millions of dollars traded on, the premium is like the low of $4 up to like $4.65. So it's like $400 per contract. So, it's kind of risky. Whereas the contracts that I am more interested in, they have a premium, like I said, of around $1 or $100 to buy one contract. So a little bit more conservative there as far as the money you got to risk, but much less likely to be closing in the money. But it's quite possible based on what's going on with the chart that they get up at least towards around $45. So yeah, I'm just super excited about Unity. And so maybe I'm going to have to put this out as a clip. And so with that being said, I'm just going to throw this up here. If you did like the video, me sharing my thoughts, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this.